We're back. And we're not echoing. We figured it
Right. We should.
like some kind of way. It happened. So we're back. Thank you very much for your patience and thank you for working with us through these technical difficulties, Jamar. I appreciate you very much, sir.
Oh yeah, we here.
I really, really do appreciate you. Thank you very much. So I guess now we can go back into what we were talking about because they're coming back in the room now, and I guess we'll go back into it and we'll get back to our conversation
Okay.
that we were having. Um, so I don't know how much of everybody missed or what they were talking about, but if you don't mind, maybe we can backtrack a little bit. We were talking about some things as it relates to Flint and the emergency manager and the mayor and the state rep and all these things
Yeah. Yeah.
talking about
That
name
that's
recognition. But
interesting.
we just, if I'm sure if you had some hair, we probably would have blew it off with that.
Yeah. You would have.
Yeah. But so I mean that's a little bit of a problem because again he was the state rep before he was the mayor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so how it looks like, on the outside looking in, it looks like he retained his seat and got a new one as well, right? He doubled
Right.
down on this. However, the problem is that we are in such
So, question is,
okay.
was he effective as a state rep?
Was he effective as a state rep party people? Y'all on here to let us know. Flint, was he? I don't actually live in the city of Flint.
Okay.
And say so he wasn't my state rep as it relates to that, but I don't. So for me, I don't. I so with all of the smut and everything that was going on and how he got into it, I'm not really sure if he was effective um, as it relates to being a state rep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would I mean, because he ended up being married, you would kind of think that he was, maybe that he did some things that help out. So I'm assuming maybe that he was. I'm not really sure. You know, the people would have to tell me that for real. But Mickey, do you know
You said, was he effective?
as the state
Yeah.
rep?
I couldn't tell you that, to be honest with you.
Peace King. Jaleel, you would know. Jaleel, answer this for me. When Mayor Neely was in place as the state rep, was he effective as the state rep? Maybe Jaleel can answer that for us. Or anybody else that's watching. Was he effective as a state rep when he was in that place?
Shit, he was giving Weaver problems during that time, so I can't say that. Remembering this, wasn't that his last term? That's when he was putting out the slanderous information when he was the state rep.
And maybe that was because he was, you know, vying to be the mayor. It was a huge smut. It was some bad
But you know what?
more the smut got smeared. You know what I'm
Uh
saying?
huh.
It was bad. And
Well,
so
I'm
I'm
gonna say
not
this.
sure.
Well, not to cut you off, I'm gonna say this. As
Mhm.
far as the current state rep, he probably was much better.
What? Hold on. You said the current state rep is his wife, right?
Right. No, no, hold up, brother. Now, see, y'all trying to get me in trouble. This is not me throwing no salt.
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
cause
That's
yeah.
not how I took it.
Okay,
It's just the
okay,
fact
okay.
that
No, reason I say
he,
that now because they said her voting record was bad because you
but
said that could have been a conflict of interest.
and that's why I say that's really something to be investigated because that could probably be why she looks like she has no care or concern because she can't vote.
And Jaleel said Mayor Neely got some things done that benefited the Flint residents. Such as, can you give me like an
Uh,
example or two or something that happened? And I'm not asking this to. This is not a slight to Mayor Neely when he was in a position or anything. I honestly don't know, so I'm just asking. So y'all don't go tell y'all don't go tell light skinned I did some crazy stuff because I did. I'm just asking because I don't
right.
know.
So because the question was to double down as how he went from state rep to mayor. So
Correct.
we were just wondering what if he was effective as a state rep as to why he became mayor.
Oh, Becky Brown, you would know. Becky Brown, was he effective as a state rep? As it relates to when he was in that seat? I'm not really sure because
Brother, I don't want to get us in trouble because he send his he listen to
I'm
me.
always in trouble.
He gonna send his hitters at us. I'm just saying, you say something wrong, you might get a couple. His assassins might come over here, but I
Oh
don't know.
Lord.
When I got hip to him, he wanted to become mayor, and I want to say that was when I paid attention. He might have did some things I don't know, but as far as his wife as the current state rep, I mean, from what I'm hearing, I checked the pulse out there. The people don't nobody know what she's doing. But
Okay.
now, back to what you said, it could be a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Which is really weird though, because that would make it even more uh, beneficial for the residents of Flint to do their due diligence and researching, right? Because had that been a thing, um, maybe this wouldn't be a thing, right?
Right.
Lacking representation because they are married. I don't know. We're asking. I'm not sure, Lorraine. Is this a question we're asking? We kind of tossing it around. We tossing it around to you all as well. I'm not sure. That's a great question, and maybe I want to research it a little more and see. So I'm not saying Kevin Tate says she's not doing anything. She is not. So did Kevin, when he was in the seat as the state rep, did he was he effective? Um. Oh, okay, yeah. So this all requires Lorraine. We gonna do some research together, honey, because I don't know. I
Yeah.
am.
So
I'm
that's kind of important.
It is very much so. Which is again all the more reason for us to do our research and make sure that we are voting the correct way. That we are vetting these people before we put them in place, right? Because
Right.
now that they're in the place, like, what do you do now? They're there and just crazy. Jalil said he got a bill
Okay.
passed on water rate hike being halted. Got some sentencing reform done, expungement passed, and pit bulls having to be registered and tagged. Okay, okay, cool. I didn't know, Julia. I was just questioning, like, if that was a real answer. It was not a shot at all. It was really answer. He ordered for FCA to lose funding and give it to GISD. Ooh, well, that's unfortunate. Well, see, so Demar, we have some of those things that going on, like you said too, like, the city started taking over some things. I mean, the county started taking over some things that the
Mm-hmm.
city should have had, like 911, right? And so, as it relates to right now, we can't get like there's no response, no nothing, from that. So, um, yeah, we lost everything too. We lost quite a bit, but so the reason why I kind of made that comparison is because when riding around and looking, because I just remember from being younger and coming there, right? Um, it looks so different. So in my opinion, he was a Spanish state rep. All right, that's fair. So when I look at it and I just see like the things are because so population wise, we were bigger than you, right? Population wise, but driving around, it doesn't look like it. It looks like you all are way bigger city than us.
I mean, like now in its heyday, Pontiac was about 90,000.
Okay,
So when
so
everything was good and populated and GM plants was here and everybody was living good, it was about 90,000.
same here, but I think we were more at the 100 and 120 ish,
Okay.
like popping, like you said, at its heyday, at its height, at its peak. So it was, and I don't know, and maybe even square footage, you are probably, I don't know if we're bigger or smaller or whatever, but how things are kind of separated and spread out for you all, it makes you kind of look a little bit bigger. But I think it looks even more big now because so many things are gone and it's just different,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The only thing though that I can say that I commended you guys on that we're not doing is y'all listen, y'all will throw up a house in a slot this big.
No, not really. You
No,
got some. You got a
it
few
looks like that,
subdivisions.
but
You
when
got.
you go down there, they're like so close together. But then you go down there and with some people, like there was this gentleman that was out there and he had like a little barbecue truck or something right there, and I had
Uh,
gotten something from him, and he was talking about it. He was an older gentleman. He said, you know, he said, do you remember when it used to be this, this, and this? And I said, well, I'm not from here. And he's like, oh, well, let me tell you. He said, well, it used to be a house right here, and then it was a house right here, it was a house right here. But they tore all three of them down, and now seven of them right there.
you gotta be talking about barbecue Jerry. So barbecue Jerry is on Auburn Road every time the sun is out, and he will barbecue, and he know the community. Community have adopted him like it's a standalone restaurant. And he's
Yeah.
there and he's established.
Yeah.
But what he's probably speaking to is there was a program initiative came in that with blight. So those blighted houses were tore down. They did put some houses tightly together. I mean, trying to create a community. So they
It
was trying to.
never looked bad. I can say that. It
Yes,
never,
yes. So they were trying. No, I'm saying so they were trying to
yeah.
create inner community that they
Mm.
could say and label this as a neighborhood and make it kind of a destination. It did shorten the lots. So like I said, a good day your neighbor can smell whatever you cooking. Yeah, it is that close,
Yeah.
but yeah. So
They
it
didn't look
come with
bad.
it come with change.
And they weren't like really small houses too, because as opposed to being able to go wide, they went
They
high.
going up. Yep.
Hmm. Yeah, and so they didn't look bad. They were actually really nice houses, right? And so I said that to say we have some things in place to where we can't build, right?
Hmm.
So on the east side of Flint, pretty small houses. Like kind of like those houses, like a couple of those streets. They're really small, like 827 square feet, 900
Okay.
square foot. Like those small houses. You know what I'm
Right.
talking about. It's
Right.
unique to your area. I just don't know street names, but that's how it is on the east side of Flint for us, right? And so those houses there, if something happens to it, or you buy a property because the house that got torn down and you bought that property, you can't build on it because they said it's not enough room for you to build a house. And so I had given the example of, I've seen this in another city. I've seen this in
Hmm.
Pontiac, and as opposed to going wide, they went high, and it
Right.
was really nice. But again, that is just some things that council can change, putting those people in place and changing those, because you can't build there. It's too small. A house can't
Well,
go
see,
there. A
that's what y'all
house
had.
is there.
Yeah. So, but y'all had to go to y'all zoning
Absolutely.
and fight for it. You have to
And
fight
that's
for it.
the
So you got to
thing.
go to zoning and fight for it. Honestly, we just got an entire new charter commission. So
Oh.
your charter commission,
Your whole everything got flipped up, flipped and turned inside out and brand new.
yeah,
Oh. Okay.
yeah. So your charter commission can start making some changes as well. The goal of the charter commission is not to rewrite history, but it's to push you forward with the changes in time. So a lot of those charters for these cities and municipalities are so antiquated that it look like you can't do anything.
I really like that
But you
you said that. Say that one
but
more time.
but you
What
have to
you
come
said?
in. You have to come in willing to make those changes.
It is it but I really like that you said that, because I think that's the thing that people don't realize, that like you said, it's not to come in there and to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
It's to evolve.
Yes.
And that's what we're not doing here.
Yeah. So you can't operate like it's still 1920. It's not. Everything has changed.
Right.
So a lot of things are stuck in tradition and the way that we used to do it. No, you have to change with the times.
Absolutely. And so that zoning commission, so we were talking about zoning, especially here. And I was saying, those seats are appointed by council. So put a new zoning commission in, change it.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the things that we're fighting for and we're saying with the council. But they can't, for me, and going and seeing this, they can't get out of their own way to even help us with any of these things, because they're not listening, because they can't stop bickering amongst themselves, right? And that's the problem. But A new charter commission. Boy, oh boy, you guys got new everything
Yeah,
going.
because what they actually doing, they spurning development is and tax capture. So
Mm.
it's not. It don't
Yeah,
even make sense. Like you stopping somebody from building and create additional property tax revenue, versus changing the way things have been done in the past. Say, okay, well, we can rezone this and you can build. Yeah, you may not be able to build wide, but like you said, you can go up.
yeah. And that's the thing because now we have so many places. So, we have the water issue. And our water is still
Mm-hmm.
not clean. We are 8 years in and we are still having issues with the water. Not only are we still having issues with the water 8 years in, but we just had an oil spill in the Flint River. Fucking amazing, right?
Mm.
It's like, right? It's just crazy. This just happened a few days ago. However, we have the water issue. Then we have crime is fucking ridiculous here right now. But then there are no businesses here, there are no jobs here. But that's all in relation to those things that there's no housing,
Mm-hmm.
there's no places to live, and it's so expensive, the water bills, all of these things that come into play, right? But again, they're saying, well, we need economic development, right? We need all of these
Mm-hmm.
things for people to come in or whatever. And we need businesses here and all of these things. And we say that, but I always say this, and I said this before when we had an ARPA fund meeting. Like, how are we expecting to get businesses to come here when you want to bring a business here, but where they gonna live at? You don't have anywhere to live. And if you can't build in these places, you can't put houses in these places. Then what are we gonna do? So we're
Mm-hmm.
just gonna have land just all over the hell everywhere and just nothing. It doesn't make any sense. So, like Becky Brown said, the community owns very little in Flint. We don't own anything, and we can't. And it's like they are. It's hard pressed for you to get some type of area or anything here because you fighting against not only you fighting against you fighting against the administration, and you fighting against the land bank, and the land bank is holding on to every goddamn thing. And it's like pulling teeth getting things from there, and then you got the zoning on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
We are fighting shit. Like we falling on the sword.
But it is, but you gotta be the squeaky wheel. We've been through the same thing.
Yeah.
So, what I learned though is you will not get development coming to a city with a poor school district. So
Mm,
you have to start with the school district. Because if people are coming in, whether if they're staying in the city or not, those who may stay in the city are never going to move there to a poor school district, regardless of what they're being paid.
well, then you just added another notch on it because our school
So,
district is trash.
yep. So it starts with the school district, and that's why it's even though they're separate, the city and school district has to find common ground.
Absolutely.
Because in order to bring that, you need to make sure that you have a high functioning school district, functioning school board that's in place to start trying to make those changes. Because you have to work hand in hand, like I said, because you can't say, "Oh, bring Amazon to Flint," like you said, they ain't got nowhere to live and no schools to send their kids to.
Right.
Because everybody in Flint can't work at Amazon. It's not gonna work at
Mm,
Amazon.
absolutely not. And
So
and
what's
the
gonna
thing
happen is you go get disgruntled if they do bring something like that. And be like, well, why all these outside people just coming here working and leaving? Like when they not spending no money in Flint, they not spending like it's
mhm,
nothing. It's no benefit.
right, because our our school our school board is operating just as crazy and as lawless as our city council. Those meetings have been
But
just as deplorable as those. So we are working.
but
And
yet
the
again,
squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
no, yet again, they are elected.
Thank you. And again, like that's why I was just saying, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So if we continue to say this and we continue to do this in order for people to get out and vote, and again, we have to do our due diligence. We're just putting folks in there just cause. You're just scratching the name just cause.
Yeah,
Or no vote is a vote against the person that you don't want in there.
it absolutely is a vote.
No vote is a vote for the person that's already in there. You if you're trying to vote them out, or a few of us are trying to vote them out, and then we have all of those people that don't vote. No vote is a vote.
Mm-hmm.
It's a vote in not in the right direction though, but no vote is a vote. And that's what I really wish people would understand, that no vote is a vote as well. So you can't say it doesn't
Yeah.
count, because it absolutely does count.
And you got to do your, like you said, you got to be willing to do your research
Right.
because some of these people don't have the best intentions. Some people just want a title. You'd be surprised how many people are out there putting their names on these ballots just for a title.
Yeah.
Don't have a clue what the position takes, don't know what they're doing in the least bit, but they putting their name out there for a title.
Mm.
And if they're popular enough, they just might get it.
Wow. I feel like that's how our city council seats got filled.
Yeah. Go to the meetings and call them to the carpet.
Yeah. And that's another thing. There are a few people, but there are not enough people that, city council meetings used to be full. A lot of people, COVID happened and then they didn't. But,
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing. People need to get back out. People need to, but even more than that, just do your research. And don't just be listening to the propaganda, because it's so much.
Oh,
People
yeah.
just listen to the propaganda. And that, I think that is such a big thing, of listening to the propaganda, because not only is it this podcast that I have right now is just it just kind of happened, right? Kind of blew up into this thing or whatever. But I'm not here for the propaganda. I'm not biased, because I'm not one side or the other. I don't have a D behind
Mm-hmm.
my name, or I actually reclassified myself as independent probably about 10 years ago, right? However, people, as Nikki always says, they are on the Democratic plantation. And just as long as you got the D behind your name, they're gonna vote for you, right? And it's
Yeah.
terrible. It's
I,
absolutely terrible. Or even
I,
if you
I, I hate to say it. I think Biden just woke a lot of people up.
child, because let me tell you who didn't want Uncle Joe. This guy. I did not
Uh,
want Uncle Joe at all. At all.
hey, Bernie was my guy.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about it is, they threw all these words out there and act like Bernie didn't know what he was talking about. Well, Bernie wants socialism. Bernie has all these plans, and how you gonna pay for them? The same way that when they gave all this damn stimulus money out, it was what Bernie was saying can be done and it's possible to help these people in need. But
Yeah.
they don't want to help the people in need.
Right.
They
It was
don't want to ever. They don't want to ever even the economic playing field, and that's why we will not get this student loan removed.
oh yeah.
If
Yeah.
they remove those student loans, they have essentially leveled the economic playing field and it's scaring them to damn death.
Because now doctors are not in debt, lawyers are not
No,
in debt.
black people not in debt.
I was just getting ready to say, but even bigger than that, it was what I was going
Black
to say.
black people
Black
are
people
not
are
in
no
debt.
longer in debt. Yes.
Black people is not harnessed by $100,000 worth of debt. That
Yeah.
even though they try to marginalize it when you wanted to go get a home or whatever, it's still essentially debt against your name. So us coming out of debt, us becoming entrepreneurs, starting our own stuff, us getting into the stock market and learning all this stuff, it will scare them to damn death to level this economic playing field.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. John Scott. Hi, John. If Mrs. Neely lives in Flint and votes on laws affecting Flint, isn't that just as much of a conflict, regardless of who the mayor is? If it's
No,
not,
because she represents Flint.
if it's not, then as long as she isn't voting on things like the mayor's pay or position directly, then I don't see how husband and wife in those positions is conflict. Make me understand. I think that's what he was saying, that she can't vote on those type of things. I think that's what he was saying, and that's why she should be abstaining. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, so I mean, anything that may be coming up the pipeline to the state saying Flint needs
Okay.
voting or any special acknowledgement, I don't think she can vote. Now I say it may be some research in there, but I really don't think she can vote on anything that may be designated towards Flint because it's her husband.
Lorraine says the problem for me is that we are the they. They are not coming for us. We have to move something. Each person has to make a move. That's the whole. Yeah, I agree. Philip said a lot of things. I'm so sorry, Philip. Hold on a minute back. He said you can change the rules too, just like the officials you vote for. The public has the means to do that. Absolutely. What do people think initiatives and referendums are?
Hmm.
That is how we get effective leadership. Exhaustive job analysis. Analysis help form requirements. Absolutely. When the people know the jobs, then they know what they need to have and what they get. Right. So,
everything he said is true. And if you honestly, if you ask a random person, what do they think city council do? They have no idea.
Yeah,
You ask them what's the job of a mayor for real, they have no idea.
yeah,
Not even just to hold them accountable. I think as an elected official running for something, you should be explaining this to them outside of what you're saying you're planning on doing. You should educate them on the process because a lot of times, and I witnessed it in our last election, it was a lot of people once asked a question in a forum how they would handle a certain situation, kind of danced around it with really something that they can't even do. And I'm like,
yeah,
why not just be honest and say, listen, that is not a job requirement or something that I could do as a council person, but hey, let's sit down and figure out how we can do it or how we can make this happen.
I
But
think
you
yeah,
gotta be honest on what you can actually do. Like I say, if you know what your job responsibilities are, that you are here to represent a district, ward, or whatever, and you come back and you are to make sure that the budget is approved, those dollars matched, there's not at a deficit for that coming year, and you represent that district. That's really your job.
yeah,
Outside that, you can take in complaints, you can do all this other stuff, but you can't say I'm gonna bring business here. You cannot say you're doing that. So you
yeah,
got to be honest with what you can do versus telling these people you go do all this stuff and can't get it done.
yeah. So for me, I'm glad you touched on that and you mentioned that because I think that's another thing that bothers me sometimes is that when that happens, like people, they don't know the difference between they don't know what's needed and what can be done at the city level or the local level and at the state level and at the federal level, right? And with that being said, and not knowing that, like you said earlier, things that happen at the federal probably 9 times out of 10 ain't even gonna touch you at the city level. Because it's
Yeah,
not have absolutely nothing to do with you. And where you need to be focused at and your focus should be at is at the city level.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. We can say that I say this over and over again. But like you said, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, but sometimes you get tired of squeaking.
you can't. And like I said, me personally, I say you can't say you love your city and just give up on it. So,
Absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
squeaky wheel you got to continue to be the squeaky wheel for those who just go sit on the sidelines because you got a lot of keyboard city advocates. You got a lot of advocates
Absolutely.
sit behind that keyboard.
Absolutely.
They'll post all day about what need to change, what need to be done, but won't hit them streets, won't hit that polls, won't call.
Mhm.
So that
I'll
keyboard
say something.
became
Yeah.
it became that silent partner, and I'm like, it don't work that way. I seen people try to run elections behind the keyboard. It does not work that way.
Mm.
You better get out there and knock on some doors.
Yeah, Nikki said our city council passed an unbalanced budget. Our city council did just pass an unbalanced budget. Yes. They absolutely just passed an unbalanced budget. Yeah. So Mickey, what was the numbers again? So we passed the 64 million budget. We only took in 50, like 50, 55 ish.
So where are they expecting that extra money to come from?
Where are they expecting it to come from?
So y'all, you need to pay attention. So make sure it's not any potential property tax increases that they are showing that is going to be coming down the pike. Make sure they know rate hikes.
It was. Shoot. It's the
So
opposite.
they supplement with ARPA funds. Well, that's a one time thing. So make sure what's going on. Make sure that money is designated.
Good child. I'm telling you, you should see some of the lawlessness that happens around here. I'm telling
Yeah, but that's actually how we ended up in receivership.
you, how we gonna have our asses back in
No, that's exactly how we ended up in receivership. So it
it.
was a budget set, and the minimum maintenance amount for the Silver Dome was $8 million, and that was just maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
So the minimum bid when it went up to auction should never have been less than $8 million.
Fine.
You knew it was $8 million, but you sold it at auction for 572,000,
Oh God.
and they end up paying less property tax at the time than some of our homeowners for 27 acres. 27 acres, and they was paying less property tax than some of our homeowners. Yeah.
That is, oh, right. Sheesh. So where the silver? What's sitting right there where the Silver Dome is at? Is that where Amazon is at?
Yeah, it's actually Amazon now.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to remember that when I saw Amazon, I was like, I think this is where the Silver Dome used to be. So yeah, okay. Amazon.
But the thing of that is, it still wasn't a huge benefit for the city because that was a private purchase deal.
Oh,
So that was no longer city owned property. That went to the person who actually bought the Silverdome property.
and so they got. Ooh, they made out like a fat rat.
Yeah, and so they still trying to backdoor the city because they think the financial manager who sold it, he was in cahoots with the person who bought it, and I'm sure he got broke off on the back end.
Mm. Philip Lee said this is why general funds are problematic. Funds need to be locked in and dedicated. Dog ear that shit. Yeah. I'm just, you know what? It's so crazy because we hear these stories and we hear these stories of other cities, and the reason why I had this here because I mean sometimes we think it's only us, right? And sometimes we
Yeah,
think that, like we're the only ones that's going through it, we're the only ones that's been through it or whatever. And then in talking to you and I hear about some of these other things, I really wanted people to hear that, there is there is hope and there's a way to come up out of it, right? But we have to do our part. And so, but hearing something even closer to home, because this is so much closer to home. I mean, we can hear about it, like 17,000 cities away or
mm-hmm.
17,000 miles away. But this is what, 45 minutes away. Like we need to hear things like that and see that we're not the only ones that's going through it. And there are ways out, and there are some other people that feel the same way and have gone through it. And so, with that being said, just to shed a little more light about making sure that we are doing our part and making sure that we are voting the right way, that we are doing the research in voting, that we are getting out to vote. Period. That's half the damn problem there. We won't vote.
Mm-hmm.
We will not vote. And this election is so huge because not only do we have not only do we have the mayor and we have the state rep, we have the Senate seat, right? The governor. Like it's a lot.
Yeah,
It is so much. And it's so important to make sure that we are looking at all these pieces to the puzzle. All of them. And we have to do a deep dive and make sure that we do that. Excuse me, and not only deep dive, but then make sure after we do the deep dive to get out and make it happen. We got to make it happen because if we don't, we could continue to go down this slippery slope and be back into to receivership and complaining about not having what we don't have.
yeah, and that's the thing. They're elected, so we have the right to hold them accountable. The same way Gretchen said she was gonna fix the damn roads. Well, guess what? Our roads are terrible.
Ooh, child. So
So
I
you need to
hear.
be held. Okay, you running for re-election? You explain it.
Yeah.
Biden, you promised this student loan reduction. Ain't nothing happened.
At
Explain
all.
it.
At all.
So when your people running locally and they telling you all this stuff, like I say it's better to be honest on what you can and cannot do versus promising somebody you know you cannot deliver.
Yeah. My mother just said we don't follow the money. We definitely don't follow the
Oh,
money.
that's yeah. And that's the thing. I actually ran for city council in Pontiac in 2013. I knew all types of dirt on the other candidates, but that wasn't my reason for running. Never mentioned it. Cause to me, if you was gonna vote for me, I wanted you to vote for me because you believed in what I had to say, what I proposed on doing, and that's it. Not me saying, "Oh, you know this person did this and did this, did this." I mean, you don't believe it. I want you to believe in me. So nah. So I learned the way. Like I said, and I lost in the primary by like 26 votes. It was
Oh,
that
wow.
close, but yeah. But
You didn't consider running again?
I probably will in the future. But like I said, I got fast tracked on doing some other things, and
Excuse me.
and one thing I did find out, you can get more done without a title.
Mm. You Yes. That's what
So
I'm
what
saying.
I found out, I didn't owe anybody anything. I wasn't tied to nobody. Didn't matter who event I showed up to help or whatever. Nobody couldn't tell me nothing. So it's kind of the path I've been on now. But I think sooner than later I end up running again.
I like that, and with that being said, I think that the reason why I like doing this and I like being independent and I like being on like shooting straight down the middle and not being on one side of the fence or not is because then people don't feel like you're controllable, right? Because when you
Mm-hmm.
step on that side of the fence, then they and some people are very controllable and they get placed in those positions because they
Mm-hmm.
are controllable, right? But you're absolutely right. You can do a whole lot more not having a title or being on one side or the other. So Philip said, uh, oh wait, first Becky said, in Flint Hood News Network, I posted an article about Wells Fargo and mortgages reduced in the African American community. I post a lot of useful information about the Black community. We appreciate that too, Becky. I see those. Philip said, "That's my point. We not only have the right to hold people accountable, we have the means, and a lot of people don't think it. A lot of people think we don't. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right." Becky said, "That is why my family and I are voting for Weaver. She does not need to be perfect, but she is real. Absolutely." Hey, T, what's going on? Um,
Becky, I'm gonna tell you to find something. Something I found out this year that I blew my mind, and you might want to research it. Redlining was created by the federal government, not the insurance companies at all. It was created by the federal government to keep neighborhoods segregated. And when I found that out, I said we've been pointing the finger at these insurance companies and saying they wrong, doing us wrong, and not knowing that this came from the federal government about redlining communities.
you know what's so crazy though about that though, and keeping us segregated? We had more when we were segregated. We did better when we were segregated. We had our own everything when we were segregated.
Well, you know they didn't integrate us. They integrated our dollars.
They
They didn't
integrated,
integrate us.
and they don't.
That's
And that's the thing. They don't respect our black dollars.
because they don't have to.
No, they don't. We
They
don't
don't
let
have
them.
to because we
We don't
gave
let
it to
them.
them. We gave it to them. We didn't have to.
Absolutely.
So what we should have been. I wrote, and it's crazy. In my African American literature class, I wrote a paper. It was called "The Illusion of Inclusion." So it
Wow.
was about the integration. So integration, what we should have been fighting for was equal education only. That's all we needed. We needed the right to have the equal education, the right materials, everything that we needed. We had our own doctors already, we had our own lawyers, we had our own farmers, had our own dentists, everything. But them making us feel like we were not included in the equation made us want it more. It's like somebody telling you, don't, you can't, well, the water cut off, you can't use the bathroom right now. Now, because
I
you
got
told
you.
me, I gotta go. I
Yeah.
gotta go.
Yeah.
So the fact that they told us we couldn't go in this restaurant, well, why did you have to go in there? We got our own black restaurants. Why did you have to go in there? What made that so special that you needed to go in there?
Just because we couldn't.
Because we couldn't. And the only reason they let us in because they said they looked at the bigger picture of that green dollar and said, "Let them in.
Yeah.
Let them in. We don't gotta treat them like nothing, but let them in so we can get that money.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
We'll still beat you, turn a fire hose on you, do whatever we want to, but we gonna take your money.
You got to sit back there then.
We gonna
You
take your
come
money."
here. You go sit back there. Mm. I say this all the time, and I keep saying it, and I know I've said it before, and like I just said it, we did better when we were segregated, and like you said, we just felt like we had to be included. And I say this even right now, right? So for us, some of our hoity-toity suburbs where they allow us allow some of us to come in. Places like Clio and Grand Blanc and Flushing, right? Those places real hoity-toity, and but they're pretty. They are pretty racist, right? But they allow some of us to come in. Allow some of us to come in. It ain't that we just that we feel like we belong, but because they make the big fuss about us not being there, we feel like we got to move there.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't even want to say they allow us. It's the fact of why do you want to go somewhere you not wanted?
Why do you? I don't want to go there. I have no desire to.
I wouldn't. How are you comfortable laying your head somewhere you're not wanted? Like
Absolutely
it doesn't make sense.
not at all. It means nothing to me to say that that's my zip code. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm good right here around the people that look like me, that treat me more like family than anything. Why do I want that? I don't want somebody that doesn't I'm worried about gonna do something to me and I have to sleep light, one eye open, pistol right next to my bedside. That's crazy. Why?
yeah, and like I said, and we get disheartened with our own people. But if you spend time talking to your own people, then you can start bridging the gap. But we treat each other like throwaways, and we run off to these other communities, and then be like, "Well, look what's happening over there." Well, what did you do to help it not to happen?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let me see some of these comments because we skipped by having commentary. Phillips said a lot of communities at one time set themselves apart, even though policy promoted that. As far as education, people deserve better, not just equal. Liberation goes past equity. So people can not only reach their potential, but they have the will and can exceed that. Correct. Alana said we fell for the okie doke. Phillips said, be the best you want to be because we can be more. Absolutely. Becky Brown said Dr. Martin Luther King spoke about leading his people into a burning house. He did. He was so he was so appalled at everything, and he thought he was like, man, he basically just said, y'all, I fucked up.
Yeah, but you notice he wasn't killed until he started speaking about economic empowerment and securing what
Yep,
was rightfully ours.
yep,
Now, when it was just we need to march and he was just preaching and marching through the streets, they like he can do that.
yep,
But when you riling these people up and telling us, all right, it's time now, they
yeah,
took him out.
yeah. He woke up and got up. He said, oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
you
and
can't do
they
that.
took
That
him
was
out
not
immediately
that.
after.
Yeah, they said you gonna get out or lay down, or we gonna lay you down, and that's exactly what happened. Shawty said, "Oh, they let us come in the Flint suburbs, but they're racist and they're slick with it too. I learned that by living in Burton. Absolutely." She's talking about. John Scott said families were better when one parent could afford to be at home with the kids and maintain the home. When everything got so expensive, you needed both parents working. It killed the family unit and it affected society. Welfare killed the family. Welfare killed the family. Let's be clear. Welfare killed the family because now you can get if you were having a little trouble, you can say that woman and them kids can get on it, but that man can't stay there. Welfare killed the
Mm-hmm.
family. Welfare killed the family. Definitely. Um, Philip also said Lincoln didn't want people here. He was going to put folks on the island. Said when we think the grass is greener over on Wannabe Drive, we forget it has to be mowed too. Yeah, 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 yeah. It does have to be mowed. Philip said, "Truth. Same cities that liked him wouldn't welcome him when he started talking on equality." Absolutely. Becky Brown said, "Yep, poor people campaigns. Dr. King was one of the best." Philip said, "Want it or not, people live everywhere they live, and what's there belongs to them as much as anyone. Who told us we need permission? Nobody.
Yeah,
However,
yeah, you you don't need permission, but you'd be hard pressed going to somewhere where they don't want you or they feel like you don't belong, trying to make a change.
yeah.
You don't need their yeah, you're right. You don't need their permission. You can
And you know
move
what?
there. You can stay where you want to go, but you'll be hard pressed trying to get there to make a change that you want to see in the city. They feel like you don't belong to.
I mean, we can say, and you know what, Philip, and the rest of the people that are watching, we can say that about things like this, just like this. So we have this platform, and it's an open platform for people to talk and come, and we can talk about it. It's not biased one way or the other, though. And because you're being a squeaky wheel, they don't want to see it. So propaganda gets killed, and they try to degrade it and downplay it. They call you everything. It's the same thing as living in a neighborhood they don't want you in. It's the exact same thing. When you start making, just like Dr. King, he started making noise about different things and being an influencer over certain things that they didn't want, and they said, "Oh, he too loud and proud now. Oh, they listening way too hard. Hold on, wait a minute, he ain't just preaching now. Oh, wait, this different.
Right.
Oh, hold on." Wait, this whole energy different. Oh shit, wait a minute. Oh, they listening. Oh, they moving different.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they thinking different. And that was a threat because they liked him when he was turning the other cheek. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. We're all right. But then when he started getting a little bit more militant, they said, "Oh hell no! Now we got two of them. We can't do this."
Right.
Yeah. But that's the same thing here. But we need to have that type of voice. We need to be that type of loud and proud over the things that we need and we want to right here in our own city. We should definitely be doing that. Like you said, we gotta continue to be the squeaky wheel. We ain't never gonna get no oil if we silent because ain't nobody know we squeaking. Nobody. I'm not talking entitlement, just humanity. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. No, not entitlement. Not entitlement. Definitely humanity. But what we feel like is humanity and a human right, some people feel like it's entitlement, like they're entitled to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be just be it definitely is humanity, but so many people think it's entitlement. We can look at January 6th and see that. They felt entitled. Not human. Not like a human right.
Hey, clearly
What?
with the lack of repercussions, they were entitled.
Mm, yeah, those type of things. So, Mr. Bias, what in your city are you doing to make different changes and doing things around it to be the change that you want to see? Tell us what you're doing.
Uh, One, it's crazy. Actually, I left a meeting today. They actually asked me to be president of Pontiac Young Progressives. So trying to get some 25 to 50-year olds in line and start making some economic development changes and creating economic growth for those coming behind us. So actually took place in that today, as well as I started a men's group called Brothers United for Change. So basically, we are a supplemental group to nonprofits. So it's a lot of nonprofits here, but I never wanted to create a nonprofit. I think it's too many nonprofits. I think it's too many people going after the same group of people, same dynamic groups.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of groups don't have men presence though.
Mm,
So
mm,
I wanted to be a supplemental group to when these groups are having events or they're dealing with children or mentoring things like that, that we step up and supplement and be there for these events. So that's the biggest two things I'm doing currently. So we actually do a brunch once a month to keep the men engaged and going. And as we get calls in for people that's having events or need some men to show up to different events, we got some men to go into the schools. Some will go to the rec center. So whatever organization kind of contact us, let us know what they have going on. We'll show up and take care of that.
that's a great idea. Was that your idea? Is that something that you came up with? Is that your
Yeah,
baby?
yeah.
What made you decide to do that? What sparked that in your mind to say, this is what we need to do, this is what we need? You just saw the need and wanted to feel it, or
It
was it something you were just passionate about?
Yeah, it came from actually. I started a podcast during the pandemic. So me and a friend of mine, we started a podcast called Monologues. So I kind of came up with the name because I'm like, man, it's really no outlet. Like it was one thing that you could pick up a phone. Like most guys don't talk on the phone too much. So every now and then you're talking on the phone, everything. You may jump on a group Zoom or whatever. But it's like we didn't really have an outlet. So it's like it was all already enough. We knew men didn't talk or didn't vent, and like this was something new, putting a lot of pressure on a lot of men back. It's like, saying the household struggling, people not working. So it was a lot going on. And like I said, and seeing men like just struggling to get by and get through. So just tried to create that to kind of be a voice and an outlet. And so as we started doing the podcast, men would get on there and make comments and say what they're going through and actually being vulnerable and stuff like that. So coming out of that, once we were able to start meeting in person, I'm like, well, we need to come together as men and not only just be together as men, but we need to figure out how we go give back to the community.
Mm.
So that was the birth of it.
So do you still do your podcast?
We kind of trailed off here lately because a friend of mine, he actually was working directly with the new mayor, so he kind of been engulfed in that process, but we do plan on getting it back going.
So that program that you have, do you plan on or had you thought about spreading it out to
It
other
actually
communities
so
first?
what it's crazy how it started. It actually started to rally some men to get the vote. So it started as like they started that, and when I showed up to the brunch, I presented my idea. So they
Mm,
had a black men trying to get them out to vote and get involved in the election process, everything. So as we went around the room, and I just stood up and I told them what the idea was. So right now they are actually starting to go to different cities. So I actually just did Southfield, Detroit. They planning one for Grand Rapids, and I do believe they said they're going to do Flint.
okay.
Yep.
Well,
So
would
Grand
you give
Rapids
me
will
the
be the
rest of
next
that?
one. Yeah, I would definitely give you the information.
That way I can spread it out. Just give us all of that. We'll make sure that we spread that as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely make sure I give you that information.
Especially when it comes here, because I think we not I think I know that we are lacking in some of those areas. Not saying to all the men that are on there, this is not a it's not a stab at you all or anything like that. And we do have some men representation, but we definitely need a lot more men representation of things like that. You know,
Yeah,
because there's a lot of people that feel like we don't see you all enough. You know, as much as we love you all, we don't see you enough.
yeah, and that was the sentiment that we was getting. I'm like, they right, they're right. Like we got to be more than at a sporting event. We
Yes,
got to be there.
absolutely. Absolutely. And not even only that, we need a lot more events that you all can come to as well, because I don't think that we make enough events for you all to be represented at. We don't do enough. We don't do enough of those things like you said, to get them to come out and vote, to get men to come out and vote. We don't do enough of that. We don't do enough excuse me, we don't do enough education on knowing the local, the state and the federal,
Mm-hmm.
so that we know what we're looking at and what we're coming up against when it comes up against it. And like you said, knowing the job title and knowing their roles and knowing what they have to do once they're in there, so that we know how to vote. And then, like you said, so we have a forum coming up, and that is one of the things that we need to ask our state reps. We have a state rep forum coming up that I'm moderating, and that is one of the things that I would like to know from them. Like, what's the role? What do you know?
Mm-hmm.
What what is it that you have to do, and what can you do?
Yeah.
So I have talked to a few of them, and some of them know a little bit. Some of them know a lot more than the other ones. But that's the thing that the people should see and know as well. We don't
Yeah.
need to wait till they get in those positions to know that. Shit, we done gotta be here. We don't know
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
And that's one thing. Like I said here, I give kudos. Our women here right now, they are on the ball.
Yeah,
And it was not to like say, oh, because they doing something, we need to do something. No, but it was like you see what they're doing, the progress they're making. I mean, they were having women round tables about elected officials and stuff that they were doing. And no, it's not necessarily like y'all ousting us and saying men can't come, but this was opportunity for women to bond and do what they're doing. And I'm like, why are we not doing this?
absolutely.
Why are we
And,
not doing this?
and then with that being said, once those two things are established, then we need to come together and bridge
Yes.
the gap.
Yeah.
We don't do enough of that either.
Yeah.
We definitely don't. We don't do enough in cahoots with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We don't support each other enough. Because just like you told me that, and I'm saying, hey, I need you to give me that information that I can support you. We have to make sure that we're doing that and we're supporting one another,
Yeah.
because we all initially have the same goal in mind at the end of the day. The finish line is the same and it's in the same spot. And we should be reaching it together.
Yeah.
We should definitely be reaching it together. So I would love to hear more about that. Um, Philip said, and the thing is, we have the information available to us without barriers, yes. And we run into, we can get, well, we do a lot of going along to get along, don't we? It's a new day, even though it feels the same. It is a brand new day. It is a new day, even though it feels the same. It is a new day, but it only feels the same because we continue to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're not evolving with the day. We're
Yep.
not evolving with the new day because we stand 17,000 weeks behind.
Yeah.
And even though we feel like we're still in 1963, but we're really in 2022. So some of those things that they talked about in 1963, it relates right now to 2022 because we stuck back there. We are not moving forward. We're just not moving forward. We got to do better.
It's the lack of information, and it's not saying it's a lack of information. It's a lack of going to get the information.
Because this is it. We are in the information age. Everything is readily at our fingertips. We are
Mm-hmm.
looking to find anything. I say this to my children all the time. Make your smartphone be smart. You ask me, make your smartphone be smart. You
Right.
don't need that. Because we coming up and you wanted to know something. My grandmother had a whole
Encyclopedia set. Yeah.
baby. Listen, and she said you can take your ass to that hallway and go look it up.
Shoot.
And
Oh,
that's
don't
exactly
have
what you know.
don't have to look up some old microfiche.
Oh, oh my lord. Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I never want to do that
Yeah.
again. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. But like Becky
Well,
just said, it's the
I,
lack of
I, I don't.
information and purpose. Yeah,
I don't think it's a lack of information. I think, like I said, we just don't go get it. We rather somebody tell us what to do
yeah,
versus going to learn what we need to do.
yeah. And like Philip just said, we need to make sure that they are credible sources. Absolutely, we need to make sure that they're credible
Yeah.
sources. Absolutely need to make sure that they're credible sources. Because we can't just be spewing just anything out here,
Oh
right?
yeah.
We have to make sure that they're credible sources. Absolutely,
But that's the
absolutely.
thing. We binge watch a series on Netflix, but won't crack a book open.
Not, and you know, and that's what they said. You want to hide anything from a black person, put it in the book.
Yeah. I don't even put a color to it no more. It's the
No,
generation. I don't even put a
it
color
is.
to it no more.
It is concerning the demands made by the foundation of Satan to the mayor. Yes,
What?
um, I'm not sure if that relates to me, but he was talking to somebody else. Brother Jaleel, I'm not sure. Okay. Philip said, not just the information, but the right information. I got you. Yes, that's exactly it. We definitely need to make sure that I was informed yesterday that Ridgeway White and Tim H. told Mayor Neely to cut all ties and relations with the Nation of Islam and myself. If this turns out to be true, then he is not a mayor of Flint, but a puppet of the Mott Foundation.
Oh Lord.
Yikes. Oh, that's for Rennie Lee's question. Okay. Got you. Because I was so confused. Okay, got it, Jaleel. Thank you for the clarification. Yikes on that, though. I hope that's zoinks. I really hope that that's not a thing. I really hope that
Right.
that's. I like this one. Woo. Brenda said, yes, we get a lot of just people's opinions of what they want. Yes, yes, yes. It is definitely a lack of information. Trust me, this is what I do. Yes, yes, that is definitely it. I do know that you do that. How the mayor spreads misinformation every Saturday on purpose. You know what? And that's a thing as well. And we have seen that, and we know that there is a lot of misinformation being spewed from the top down. And so that's another reason why I said that voting is important, because while we have leadership in place that is spewing false information, misinformation, propaganda, and everything else, and we do not need that. We got enough everything else going on. That's the last thing that we need from our leadership. The last
Yeah.
thing from our leadership. Uh, John Scott said, problem with that is encyclopedia was a single source that we all got the same information from. Use Google and you get 10 different answers, and probably the top hits are fake news or bullshit. The information is there, but the media and Google has dumbed us all down. Absolutely. And that was the reason why I said we really do need to do our research. Absolutely, we need to do our
Can you
research.
give me 1 sec? I gotta take this call. I'm sorry.
You go for it. Um,
Hello.
hey, I know you do. Anyway, Mick, you want to jump on and have some conversation with me real quick?
Yeah, I just muted this. I muted this
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah, no worries. So, yeah, um, we have to. I think that that is a great thing that he's doing with that program with the men. I really think that I really hope that they do bring that into Flint, and that is a thing that we have here, because that sounds like a great thing. And Mickey, we need to support that. What I'm saying,
I'm cool with that.
We definitely need to support that and make sure that we're putting that information out there. And that's another thing that we need to do, guys. We need to if I always say charity starts at home and spreads abroad, and we need to definitely do things here. And if there are some things that are happening in other cities that we hear about, maybe that's the thing that we need to adopt them here or get in touch with them so that we can adopt them here and bridge the gap and work together because together we can do a whole lot of things instead of being separate because as we see that they going through almost the exact same things that we're going through minus the water. Minus the water, they're going through the same things. However, they have a whole new administration and a whole new everything that they're going through. So I maybe that's what we need. You think so, Mickey?
Maybe.
Do we not need to flip it upside down? I was just saying, Demar, that when we see programs like the ones that you were talking about here, that we need to be in support of those things. And I always say, because my grandmother told me a long time ago, and I still say this today, is that charity starts at home and spreads abroad. However, if you see some good things like what you are doing in your city, that we may want to adopt in our city to do things to move things along
Right.
further, to make sure that we reach out to these people and see how we can adopt it in our city too and bridge the gap and maybe work together. Because together we are much better than separate. And
Yeah.
as we see just from this conversation that we had and just conversing with you that we are going through we are we are going through the same problems, minus the war.
Mm-hmm.
We're all going through the same things together, right?
Right.
And so if we talk about it and we talk to each other about it, we can find different ways to talk to each other about how to get us out of it. How to we can instead of spreading water, we can keep our heads, we can start building, we can just keep doing it. As opposed to, working so hard and just artificial our kids to know how to reach this without this thing, right? But we have to continue to talk to each other and not think that it's good. Yeah. Mhm. There are definitely strength in numbers, and that's the thing. So we have to make sure we do that. So I am. What other programs do you have going on, or is there some other things that you can tell us about that you're doing?
Well,
Yeah,
like I said, those are the two key things right now. Maybe some things coming up here in the future, but right now those are the two key things.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. That's fine. So definitely make sure you keep me in the loop.
I definitely will.
If there are some things that we can do to support you in that, or some things that you would like to just spread abroad in Flint, just keep the momentum
Yeah.
running, and make the train even longer, right? From
Yeah.
city to city, and make the train even longer. Please reach out and do that, and I can try to be a resource and get you some resources, and
Okay.
we can make this thing work all the way across, right?
Yeah, yeah, like I said, so if it's any guys up there who actually, if they want to talk and see how we start setting it up, I don't mind.
Absolutely. So with that being said, hopefully you can be a point of contact if someone reach out and does that, and I can either get the information to you so you can reach back
Yeah,
out to them, or vice versa, so that they can get that started. Maybe that's the thing that we need to talk about here in order to do that, because we need to make sure that we are getting our men involved, and I think our men need to get our young men involved, right? And so that we don't do what happened to us and the ball gets dropped. We continue to pass the torch.
right.
Yeah, I think that's very, very important. Very, very important.
Yeah.
Well, Tamar, I appreciate you.
Oh, no problem. I definitely appreciate the offer.
I appreciate you coming on and talking about it, and you just giving us some insight and just having this dialogue and just some good open conversation. Just you know, because it feels better to not saying that we want you to be in the same plight as us. However, it just you get what I'm saying. But it just feels good to know that we're not fighting this fight alone, just by
No,
ourselves.
definitely not. Definitely not.
We're not. We are all doing it together, and we have to make sure that we continue to do it together. So do not be a stranger. You have my information. Make sure you keep
Okay.
in touch, and that we can do some things. And I'm that way all the time because I work that way.
Yeah.
But and so if there's anything that you ever need from me, you please reach out and let me know. And you are welcome to come on at any time that you want to talk about anything, get something
Okay.
at this point. You can always do that. Just reach out and let me know. You are always welcome. You are a friend of the Yo What's Poppin' show forever and ever.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And like I said, I'll definitely be in touch.
All right. Is there anything closing that you would like to say? I don't want to hold your time because I know you're busy at work today. You had a long day.
No, like I said, I just tell people, man, make sure you keep yourself informed. There's a lot of things going on, like I said, and there's a lot of dollars out here right now. So stay informed. Uh, make sure you tapping in with your city hall because some of those dollars should be going to black-owned companies, black-owned contractors. So make sure you are on top of what's going out the door. The
Absolutely.
money has already came in as federal funds. Make sure you keeping track of what's going out the door.
So, Demar, ooh, before I get you off your own say, mental health is a thing that's very near and dear to my heart, right?
Okay,
And as it relates to men, it's even more prevalent to me because
absolutely.
my father was a Marine and he was a
Okay.
Vietnam vet. And so mental health is very important to me as it relates to men as well. Are you doing anything as it relates to mental health besides your podcast? Because that sounds like something very, very important, just having an outlet. And that's what
Yeah,
made me think about it today.
that's an outlet. And one thing I will tell people, especially men, you can have a therapist and Jesus.
Mm,
You don't have to choose one or the other. So I'm a proponent for therapy. Was in therapy myself. Looking to get back in. I actually found another guy. I got a guy who looks like me, talks like me. So I think that's gonna be better at this point for me moving forward. What I'm gonna
perfect.
move forward with my whole therapy process. It doesn't mean that you are crazy. It means that you are sane enough to know some things are not right and you want to improve it. So
Absolutely.
take the stigmatism away. It don't mean that you lost or you don't know what you're doing. It means that you are at an impasse and you need some assistance on how to get through it. And we
Absolutely.
all get there. The same way that your kids may come to you and they need some guidance, you need to go somewhere and get some guidance. And it ain't always a pastor. It ain't always just pray about it. Sometimes you
Absolutely.
need some tools on how to work through it. It ain't always just pray about it. And that's why I
Absolutely.
say you can have a pastor and a therapist. And it's not a conflict of interest.
Absolutely. And I said that to say this because I think that we need to bridge the gap and bridge the stigma from, and take away the stigma from it, right? But also bridge the gap and letting folks know and letting you men know that from us women, because sometimes you don't feel supported, right? And
Yeah.
just know that we support you and we see you and we hear you and we advocate for you as well. And that is very important to me. And because I don't know you and I don't know what's going on with you, I just always make sure that I say that. That is very important to me. And just to know that we are in support of you and we are in support of all men. And we want to make sure that you are able to
Yeah.
sit at the table and you are able to represent us the right way. So with
Yeah,
that being
me,
said,
men need to know it's okay to not be okay sometimes.
absolutely,
And,
absolutely,
and one thing that I will want to reaffirm with women, when a man is opening up to you, give him that space to be vulnerable,
absolutely.
and don't use it against him later because he will never trust you again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I thank you very much. And I look forward to doing some more things with you, maybe in the future. We have to
Okay.
get some things together or whatever, but I look forward to it. We'll have to meet one day, do something, maybe,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Just
however our schedules
right.
can
I'm around, so yeah. Just let me know.
as am I. So again, Demar, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I don't know if you're a father. Are you a father?
Yes. Yes. I got 3 girls.
Father's Day to you. Oh, you're a girl dad.
Oh, for sure, girl, dad.
Oh, you're a girl dad. Well,
Yeah, my oldest just finished her freshman year at Western. Then I got a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old.
I'll check you out. Well, you are all over the map, sir. So you need mental health for real. Because
Yeah.
these girls probably driving you crazy. They probably all
Yeah.
wrapped around your arm. It's not wrapped around
Yeah.
your neck.
There's.
It's probably wrapped all around your
You see, I ain't got no hair.
neck. Right. Well, happy Father's Day to you, God. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you.
you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit and just conversing with me and just putting it all out there. I appreciate you so so much. I really really do. So
Not a problem. We got through them technical difficulties and
we
we're here.
did. We did. So my prayer is that you have a very, very blessed and wonderful weekend, Father's Day weekend. I hope that you get to relax, relate, release, and that they give you something that you are gonna like and not a tie this big
Right. Right.
or something that you can't use. Man, even if it's just a piece of mind, I hope that you can get it.
Right.
So again, happy Father's Day. You have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. And thank you again for coming on. I'll keep in touch.
Thank you, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye.
So, y'all, How was that? Did y'all appreciate that? Did you like that conversation? I thought I'd just do it a little bit different or whatever. You know, I just wanted to make sure that we just had a little bit of dialogue. We had some things going on and just see things from a different point of view, a different side, right? To get some different some different insight just to see what's going on around us. You know, sometimes we get so stuck into where we are, we don't necessarily think of things a little bit differently, and sometimes we have to get another perspective, right? And so that was all that was, right? So with that being said, for all of you dads on this podcast today, I wish you the most precious and enjoyable and just the absolute greatest Father Day ever. Greatest Father Day ever. Happy Father's Day to all you men. And again, I just want to say, you know, I am a huge advocate of mental health as always. I just want you all to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, right? Make sure that you always take care of yourself. Make sure that you are drinking your water, staying hydrated, not Flint water, but please make sure you're drinking water, whether it be purified or it be spring water. My choice is spring water, but hey, that's just me. Make sure that you are eating healthy. You make sure you are getting your greens and you are getting your fruits and you're not just eating all of this foolishness. You know, at some point, you know, we need to step away from the meat. I am on that train, y'all. I'm yet working. I'm not all the way there yet. I was before, but I'm trying to get back to it, to the no meat thing. So, you know, that's me, my preference. It's not for everybody, but I am trying to get back on that train. So I am yet working towards it. So I just want you all to make sure that you're getting at least 30 minutes cardio in every day, right? Let's start a walking group, a biking group, a skating group. I don't know, something, whatever y'all want to do. You know, I'm all in into doing that. Yoga, whatever it is that gets you through, I need you to do that. And again, there is no shame in having to see somebody and thinking that you need a different outlet and different perspective and tools to use in order to get through. There is no shame in that at all. So make sure that you are doing that. If you need that, St. Mark's, I forgot the address. I can look it up for you. It's on DuPont 3020. I wish Art was on here. He could tell me the address. I'm sorry I don't have it, but I promise I'll have it for you next time. I won't say it without having the address going forward. But they are there for you for mental health. And then, you know, there's always, not always, but a lot of times there's always someone in your life that you can lean on to give a little outlook. Becky Brown said yoga at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday morning in Ballinger Park. 3020 DuPont. Thank you, King. I appreciate you so much, God. Yes, 3020 DuPont is where St. Mark is located. If you need an outlet for that as well for your mental health, so make sure that you do that. And again, ladies, let's be in support of these men, and men, let's be in support of these ladies. And if they are giving you, if they are opening up and being vulnerable to you, please allow them to do that, and don't frown upon them and allow them to do it. Don't overtalk them. If they just want you to be a sounding board and they just want you to listen, please do that without talking. But if they need your opinion, they'll ask for it. But sometimes they just need to vent. Allow everybody to do that. But again, so take some time and go out in nature and breathe in some of this good prana, huh? Go out there and sit out in ground, sit in the grass, get some vitamin D, you know, get some sunshine. I like to sit by the water, so one of my favorite places to go is to Stepping Stone Falls, and I walk the trails, and then I go and sit by the water, and I think and I meditate, and I do all of those things. So you know, if that's the thing, that's one of the things you like, you do that as well. Whatever it is that gets you through, if it's music or whatever, whatever it is that gets you through, you make sure you do that. Again, I want to wish all of the fathers out here a happy Father's Day. I want to wish the people that are without their fathers a great day as well. Please do something in remembrance of them, and do something to honor them. And think of all of the good memories and always reflect on that, and you keep them alive by doing that. I will be doing that for my father tomorrow and for my both of my grandfathers. So on Sunday I will be honoring them, and I will be thinking of every great memory that I've ever had of them, and I will be keeping them alive and well in my heart, my mind, and my spirit around me by making sure that I am thinking great thoughts of them and honoring them on that day. So you all do that. Mickey, happy Father's Day. I appreciate you so much, and I thank you for always rocking with me. You all are the greatest, and you all are the best. Keep God first. Keep your family right behind them, and let's move forward to get this city back to where we need it to be. I love you all. You have a great, great weekend. Y'all enjoy. I appreciate you. Have a great night.